Of course, there you see his totals, both PSG and Sevilla. Sevilla, where he won 3 straight Europa League titles. Gab, I'm coming straight to you on this. Explain to me how we've gone in just 48 hours from Mikel Arteta being basically the odds-on favorite to get this job to now Emery being a shoo-in.
Well, not even 48 hours, Seb, more like 24 hours. It's really quite remarkable. You're hearing conflicting things. Arsenal putting it out there that Unai Emery, the announcement's going to come in the next couple of days, possibly Wednesday. They're saying that it was very much a unanimous decision, and other sources being reported here from Sky Sports News that that Arteta pulled out of contention because he didn't get assurances over transfers. Obviously, Arsenal next season, they have a director of football in Raúl Sanllehi and a head of scouting in Sven Mislintat. So I think to some degree it comes down to what spin, who's spin to believe in this one. Should also be said, though, that Unai Emery was managing Paris Saint-Germain right through the weekend, so right through Saturday. So they probably couldn't have appointed him earlier in any case.
Ale, if this is indeed a done deal, do you like it?
No. And the reason I don't is because if you look at the recent history of Unai Emery, he failed at PSG. Now, there are levels of failure. And when it comes to PSG, he was supposed to take this team to a different level entirely. And he was given the resources and the players to do so. And time again, he was not able to do it in Champions League, where we can all agree that's where PSG came up short. One of the things that really concerns me about Unai Emery and what went on in PSG is the mismanagement of the Neymar situation and the lack of leadership that was shown from him and from the club and how he handled that situation in particular. You also go back to the collapse that they had against Barcelona last year in Champions League, and then the collapse they had this year against Real Madrid, in which they were favorites coming into that match. And then you start thinking, okay, well, what has Unai Emery done in order to be the choice for Arsenal? And the truth is that it may just be that he is the leftover. That Arsenal's position as a manager may not be a top position, not right now. And so therefore, names start falling off the table, and Unai Emery is there, you go and get him. I think it's underwhelming.
Shaka, you agree with Ale? This is kind of an indictment of what the Arsenal job has become?
It is what the job has become. And as much as I agree with Ali in that in Unai Emery's failures at PSG, I think the bar is much lower when you're talking about Arsenal Football Club. It has been lowered over the last few years. And despite his failures at PSG, I don't think you could question Unai Emery and the successes he had with both Sevilla and Valencia. If he can bring that back, getting both those clubs into the Champions League in his times there, if he can do that for Arsenal, I think that's a huge success. You don't have to go deep in the Champions League. That's not the remit right now. That's not the way Arsenal are as a football club. You just have to get back there somehow. I think if Unai Emery can do that, I think he'll be hailed as a success. I actually like this appointment.
Gab, what does Unai Emery do or not do for Arsenal in terms of the transfer market and how attractive a club it is to come to?
I don't know that he's going to have too much to do with it because obviously, and I don't think that's a problem. I mean, they operate obviously with a director of football model, so I don't think the transfer market's really relevant. What Unai Emery, what his strength is, what he made his name on, is as a coach and as a man manager. He's very tactically flexible. He's very good at distilling ideas down simply. He was listening to Ali there. There's no question, I think, that he underachieved at Paris Saint-Germain. Let's not forget, they failed to win the title last year, which is pretty remarkable unto itself. But before that, he really worked wonders at Sevilla, not just the 3 Europa League titles. Before that at Valencia, he took Valencia all the way to third in the league. He had a horrendous experience in Russia at Spartak Moscow, wrong place, wrong time. But I think you have to look at his whole body of work, going back to Almeria as well, getting promoted with no budget, and then keeping them up there, finishing in 8th place. He's somebody who has been good at getting his message across and getting buy-in from the players One of the keys, I think, is going to be how effectively he communicates. His English is improving, but it's not obviously where he wants it to be. So he's going to have to hit the ground running on that front.
Managers. Interesting read on our website right now from Alex Shaw. The title of the article is Jose Mourinho, if he's not winning, what's he good for? Part of that article is a poll to rate Mourinho at United. Only 14% of those who voted believe that he's doing a good job. Gab, I'll ask you this. Do you agree with kind of the overarching theme here? If Mourinho isn't winning, is he worth all of the other things that come along with it?
I mean, I think obviously winning is the most important thing a manager, especially a United manager, does. I think if you look at what he inherited, I think that there's more to it, which is to galvanize the club, to get a sense that they're moving in the right direction, to get people to rally around him. And, you know, he's very good at that sort of chest beating part of the job, which is also an important part of it as well. I think a lot of people felt disaffected under Moyes and Van Gaal. The question is, do they still feel disaffected today under Mourinho? I think the jury's out there. I don't think you can only judge him by his results, which, you know, by the way, aren't terrible. I think you have to look at the whole picture, and he's probably not where he wants to be. And I think this summer and next season are going to be pretty huge for him. I think, look, if he were honest, he'd put all those titles to one side and he'd say, you know what? I'm behind the curve right now of where I need to be. I need to accelerate the process. I need to make it happen this summer and next season.
14%, guys. What do you think is more frustrating for United fans, the tactics or the behavior?
I think it's the tactics. The behavior, you knew it was part of it. You knew it was part of the deal coming into what the Jose Mourinho experience was going to be. It's just the idea that Manchester United has become a club that is cautious in the way they play, and pragmatic, practical. And when you see that their squad would allow you to be more than that, and yet you choose to be that way. We mentioned Sevilla a couple of seconds ago. The way that they played against Sevilla in both legs, but in particular the first leg in that Champions League, so cautious, so afraid, unable and unwilling to really spread open and try to take the game to other teams. That has to be frustrating if you are a United fan that wants to see something more than just 1-0 wins. And that's what Manchester United under Jose Mourinho have become, a 1-0 win sort of team.
Jose Mourinho is a manager who promises silverware and not a whole lot else. If you're Manchester United and you're used to silverware and you're used to winning silverware in a certain fashion, then there's nothing about Jose Mourinho that's all that appealing, other than comparing him to the previous two managers who went before him, who were dour, wasn't bringing any silverware, wasn't threatening the top of the table. Mourinho got the UEFA Europa League, FA Cup, and then stumbled this season, albeit an outstanding Manchester City. But still, 81 points is a good return without it being great. Spurs had more points than that last year, yet nobody's putting up trees for them. So without the silverware, I'm not sure what Jose Mourinho does or how that pleases you or how you vote that he's doing a great job.
One of the key flashpoints this season for Mourinho has been the relationship with Paul Pogba. Here's some quotes from the French midfielder. There were times when I wasn't playing, I was on the bench, people talked about it a lot. They thought things weren't going well, but a coach and a player don't have to be best friends. We don't have to go to a restaurant together. Ala, is there some truth to what Pogba's saying, or is this maybe just another sign of a broken relationship between the two?
There is truth to that, no. I never went to a restaurant with a coach. Look, you don't have to be best friends, but in games that matter, if you consider to be one of the best players of that team, you should be starting in those matches. You should be an impactful player in those matches. And whether it's Jose Mourinho or Paul Pogba, neither one of them were impactful. Neither one of them made a difference for the club. And in particular, Paul Pogba, in those important matches, at times, he was sitting on the bench.
Just to correct myself, it's the League Cup they won, not the FA Cup. But yes, manager and player don't have to be best of friends. But still, there's nothing about Paul Pogba or his body language in playing under Jose Mourinho that makes you feel he's happy. When every time you've seen Pogba, be it for France or be it for Juventus previously, you could tell that there was a certain smile on his face, there was a certain amount of freedom to his game that I don't think he enjoys right now. And it's frustrating to see his body language, and I'm sure it's frustrating him on the park. But then Paul Pogba seems to has become the face and the name that's synonymous with Manchester United's feelings so far this season, when in actual fact, you could look at anybody, bar maybe Nemanja Matic and David De Gea, and say they aren't playing well, they aren't pulling their weights, and ultimately you end up looking at one person.
Real quick, Gab, you saw the numbers, 14%. Any chance Mourinho's not at Old Trafford next year?
No, I think he's definitely back. I think in for a dime, in for a dozen. He signed a new deal. They got to see this process through to.
We also now have Argentina's 23-man list under Jorge Sampaoli, trying to shake the 3 straight major final defeats. Messi obviously leading the way. Sergio Romero, Manchester United's backup, probably the starter for Argentina. Some familiar names on the back line. Mercado, Otamendi, Rojo, Mascherano is still in midfield. But the big omission here is Mauro Icardi. Gab, he's the co-leading scorer in Serie A. What does Mauro Icardi have to do to get into this Argentine national team?
I don't know. Be born in a different decade where he doesn't have this level of competition. Look, there's no team in the world that is as deep up front. He is a genuine center forward. So is Sergio Aguero. So is Pipita Higuain. You can only take so many guys and play with so many center forwards. I think it's as simple as that. And in the end, I think Sampaoli decided to stay loyal with Higuain, who obviously has a ton more international experience, not all of it good, as well as Aguero. And I think to some degree, you can understand that.
You take Messi away from that front line, and you evaluate the performances of Aguero, Higuain, Icardi, whoever you want, whoever has played in that position up top for Argentina over the last couple of years, and none of them have been very good. None of them have been very productive, to the point to where it's like, okay, if Messi's not scoring, then who's going to score the big goal for us? And so when it comes to that and nobody separated themselves, then you sort of have to trust the judgment. Okay, Higuain has been there before. Maybe he's to the point in his career where he's outgrown some of the mistakes of the past. Aguero may bring us something different. But it's not like Icardi was playing so well with the national team that you say, well, Icardi has to be part of this group. Because if he had done so, he would be in this group. Higuain and Aguero were not impressive in qualifying, were not impressive with the national team whatsoever over the last couple of seasons. There was an opportunity for Icardi, but when he got those opportunities, he wasn't good at all.
But you could say that about almost anybody in an Argentina shirt that's not Lionel Messi. For me, I think Icardi's numbers stand up at club level at the very least. And the issue is, as experienced as Higuain is, as much action as he's seen for Argentina, I still have concerns. I still have concerns about Higuain on the big stage and the biggest moment. And that being said, not great performances in qualifying, as Ali points out. I think fluffed his lines one too many times, in my opinion. Give Icardi that shot. I would have had Icardi instead of Higuain. A good problem to have, though.
Well, the scary part is that you're talking about that you don't believe in Higuain. The scary part for Argentina is that maybe Higuain doesn't believe in Higuain. And that is perhaps the thing that...
Surprised when Roberto Martinez named a provisional Belgium squad Paul Mariner. There's no Raja Nainggolan. Why?
My jaw dropped. I was absolutely floored by it. I can't believe it. The excuse that Martinez rolled out today was tactical.
Really?
That's ridiculous.
I mean, look, it's a 28-man provisional squad. There's 5 they'll have to cut, including one of the goalkeepers as well. Now, if we take a look at the midfielders in there, you've got Dembele, who can play in a similar position, Fellaini, Witsel, and Tielemans.
Yep.
Is he honestly trying to tell us that Nainggolan's not as good as those 4? There's something behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So what could it be? Is it a clash of personalities?
I think it 100%. I think it comes from the top. I think it comes from the Belgian hierarchy. I think that there's something... I mean, in his quotes, Nainggolan said, you can't be yourself nowadays in that particular environment.
What did you read into that?
Stupidity. I mean, he would get into most World Cup squads.
Yep.
There's absolutely no... He can do so many things, Mark, he can play the holding role. You can shove him a little bit high. He's got an absolute cannon for a right peg, as we saw in the Champions League. He can score. He's a player that
FC that I was able to find. And apparently, he said, I was frustrated at being overlooked,
Yep.
and I felt I should have been in there. Now, could there be a possibility that he's a bad apple amongst the squad?
well, it's up to the manager to sort him out. Look, all you've got to do is talk to, communicate with players. Look, as soon as Nainggolan went to Roma, he started to become the player that we think he is today.
Yeah.
I'm just absolutely gobsmacked that he is not in this squad, because what they've got some beautiful footballers, but have they got a little bit of nastiness? Now, he has got some little bit of nastiness,
which you need.
and he's a proper footballer. I would have him all day long in this squad. I'd communicate if I'm the coach. I'll communicate with my players, and I'd explain what's going on. This is what we need to do, A, B, C. But you don't want to take away from the player when he crosses that white line.
We've seen some world-class players not named in World Cup squads. He would be in an 11 who are not going
Absolutely.
to Russia. And by the way, when you put that 11 together, that 11 could probably win the tournament.
Yep, absolutely. Look, you look at his, I think it was on Instagram or Twitter, he's retired from international football. It's very, very sad. He's 30 years of age. To see him to go out to the national team in this way is horrible. And he said, "Look, I'm going to be Belgium's #1 fan now, but we don't want it. We want to be one of the top players." And I think the World Cup's going to be a little sadder for a fantastic character and player like Nainggolan not to be there.
So, no Radja Nainggolan at the World Cup, and as Paul said, the tournament will...
Three-man roster for the upcoming World Cup. 6 Real Madrid players, 4 Barcelona players. You know the spine of the team. David De Gea, Sergio Ramos, Gerard Piqué, Andrés Iniesta, but a bad day for Chelsea Spanish contingent. Alvaro Morata, Cesc Fabregas, Marcos Alonso, and Pedro all left out of the team. Gab, let's focus on Alvaro Morata here. From Lopetegui's perspective, do you think this is a good, if not difficult decision, or a mistake?
I mean, look, if you're only going to play one striker, that means that you're only going to bring 3 of them to the World Cup. He's got a mix with, obviously, Diego Costa, Iago Aspas, and Rodrigo. For me, Alvaro Morata is better than the latter two. They bring different things to the table, but so does he. I can only imagine there's concerns about his form, concerns about his fitness, and maybe the belief that he needed to bring another midfielder to give him more options.
Morata scored 5 goals in qualifying, guys, including a big one against Italy in the game that effectively sealed Spain's ticket. Is it a fair omission in your eyes?
I've been a Morata fan coming into the season. I said that he was going to have a tremendous year for Chelsea, that I thought he was a better get than Romelu Lukaku. And I was wrong. And I'm not afraid to admit it. Alvaro Morata this season, not only because of injuries, but because of his performances, even when he was healthy, took a big step back in his career. To the point to where in a World Cup year, and he seemed to have been a shoo-in for this team, he took himself out of the equation for lack of performance. And I'm not going to fault Julian Lopetegui for seeing Alvaro Morata and saying, I don't think this guy can help us. I don't think what I'm seeing from him on this team, week to week on Chelsea, can he help us with Spain in the World Cup? Obviously not. And Julian Lopetegui made a decision based on performance, based on form. I think it makes sense.
You can feel sorry for Alvaro Morata if you like. And you're right. 5 goals in World Cup qualifying tells its own story. The fact of the matter is World Cup qualifying finished in November. And the Morata we saw in November in both the Chelsea and the Spain shirt is very different from the Alvaro Morata that we've seen for all of 2018. Judging on the form that Alvaro Morata has shown so far this calendar year, no, you're absolutely right.
Other news, Tyler Adams linked to Red Bull Leipzig. He also came off injured in the match against Atlanta United. Do you think Adams is ready for the Bundesliga?
I think Tyler Adams is one of the few young players in Major League Soccer that has really taken a step of growth and really shown that he can be productive at the first team level. He's going to get plenty of experience in a club in which, by the way, they take pride in playing the young players and having those players be productive for them in the first team. It's a great opportunity, a great challenge, but I think one that Tyler Adams...
It's a fact. So then if there would be an experienced market, they should sell it, because they would be even more rich than they are already. So, but experience is very important in life, but not the only important thing in life. So there are a few other things, and especially in football, I know that, and it's an advantage to be more experienced, but you can level it with desire, with readiness, with attitude, with work rate. You can level it, and that's good. That's what I love in football. And so we have our own experience. We are not that positive experience that we won the last 2 finals or whatever, but we made our own experience, and so that's good as well.
So Jurgen Klopp says Real Madrid have the advantage when it comes to experience. What is that advantage actually worth?
Yeah, it is worth something when you consider that the experience that he's talking about, and he mentioned, is the fact that Real Madrid have won this twice in a row. So you draw that, if you're Real Madrid, you draw from it and you say, okay, if we go down 1-0, we know what this feels like, and we come back from this. If we go up 1-0, we also know what that feels like. All those moments for Liverpool, as they happen in the game, they're going to be new feelings, new scenarios. And how they react to those new feelings, that's where the experience comes in. You know how Real Madrid is going to react. We don't know how Liverpool is going to react. And whether you can level it with work rate and readiness, all those things, that may be the case, but that's assuming that Real Madrid is not going to be ready and they don't have the desire that you have and they don't have the work rate that you do. I think Real Madrid will be ready, and that's where experience separates Real Madrid from Liverpool.
Is experience the biggest differentiator between these two teams, Shaka?
No, I think Real Madrid are a genuinely better team. Yes, I think the experience, though, is invaluable. But there are a couple of things. Looking at this from a Liverpool perspective, maybe the fact that Real Madrid are on the verge of writing history themselves, maybe that comes in and plays on their nerves a little bit. I'm not quite sure I'd believe that myself. But you just never know. From a Liverpool perspective, there are a few things you can control. Your preparation, your work rate, and you hope that that's enough. Just over a decade ago, Liverpool went into a Champions League final against AC Milan in a pretty similar circumstance in terms of expectation and in terms of experience, and somehow they came out the other end of that one as European champions. Maybe it happens this time again. It's the reason the games are played, because nothing is decided on paper.
It's a little bit of deflection as well by Jurgen Klopp and starting to set up this storyline of, look, it's on them.
Yeah.
We got everything to gain here and they have everything to lose. You create that narrative and then you sort of lift that pressure off your team and allow them to be free to play when the game day comes.
You know who loves Real Madrid's experience?
Dan Thomas?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, well, yeah, he does. As well. The SPI, look at the SPI giving Real Madrid a 66% chance to beat Liverpool. The odds makers making Real Madrid a favorite as well. Don't forget, you can watch this match in the United States on ESPN Deportes. We've arrived at extra time.
Oh.
Shaka.
I come back.
Ale.
I came back
have
for
made
this.
it back.
You
Ran
left.
out of here.
I was ready to go. I thought it was home time.
Well,
Seb said it was home time.
yeah. Well, you know that's
Can't tell me home time and then
yeah.
say
What
come
do you
back.
know about Seb? What?
He's very passive aggressive.
He is. Oh, that he is.
Yes.
Ever since he got
Nicest
married.
guy
Was
on
that-
show.
He was
Oh
never
my-
like
that
this.
is so
He was never like this before.
Yeah, the energy has changed.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I've been married for like 2 weeks, and
And you've been passive aggressive for like
it's the
2
only
weeks.
thing that comes up in extra time, man.
I'm
Is
just
that
saying.
you're passive aggressive?
No, that I'm married.
You've changed.
Oh.
I'm just saying you've changed.
Speaking of changes, the new look. Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Intellectual.
Can't hear.
That doesn't last, by the way. I tell you, how do you change it? What do you need to do to change your look, Jack?
What time is it?
It's just the glasses. Is that it?
No. Well,
Can I get the glasses?
no.
Oh, I want the intellectual look.
Those look like Clark Kent glasses, like.
These are very intellectual glasses.
Very intellectual.
You are the smartest one here when it comes to Liga MX. You pick Santos.
Well, you have displayed your knowledge of Liga MX in the past.
That's right.
Very deep knowledge.
Let's dive into the question, shall we?
Okay.
Stefan wants to know who will be the biggest flop at the World Cup. Shaka, you want to start?
England.
Oh, that's too easy. Come on.
See, passive aggressive once again.
No, I mean, that was just aggressive.
Well, you want to tell us who's going to be the biggest flop? You tell us who's going to be the biggest flop then, Seb.
Belgium will be the biggest flop.
You think Belgium will flop more than England?
Oh, I think the expectations are higher for Belgium.
So what would be a flop for Belgium?
Let's see, they're top 6, right, when it comes to odds, right? So I think if they don't make the quarterfinals, that's pretty disappointing.
Okay. I think Belgium will
Semis.
make the quarterfinals.
Think they need to make the semis?
I don't know. You brought up Belgium. I didn't bring up Belgium.
It's okay.
Maybe I misspoke. Who's your biggest flop? I'm doubting myself. Not a second guess.
Wait a second. Didn't you have England in the semifinals last week?
No, sometimes you say things on the show to get a reaction.
Is that what you do?
Or push the conversation forward.
That's what you do.
You did both
I
of those.
think what I said was
You took the
explain-
conversation backwards.
I thought the England best 11 had the potential to be in a semifinal. Yes, I did say that.
Okay, so then,
Argentina.
yeah.
That's your biggest flop?
Well, seeing that you ruled out England.
Who you got?
That's not a bad shout.
Yeah? Argentina.
They can win it,
Yeah.
and they can blow up as well.
If it was just strikers, they'd win.
Yeah.
But because there's 11 players,
Guys, we were watching the Galaxy Impact game earlier today. Shaquille wants to know, what are the panel's thoughts on Ibrahimovic's ridiculous red card?
it's ridiculous. You can't be slapping people around the head like that.
Zlatan was ridiculous, not the red card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just silly.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, and it's not the first time that he's done something kind of like this in MLS. A couple of weeks ago, he did the same thing in Houston, where he kind of turned around and hit, was it Romel Kyoto maybe, twice with a swinging elbow type thing, and somehow he did not get anything. Then he was forgiven then, not forgiven today. The evidence was damning, and see you later. He deserved the red card.
Scott wants to know, how often does Ale say shakastrophic off the air? Has it replaced the word bad in his vocabulary?
No, see, because shakastrophic is not just bad. It's a different level of bad. When something's bad, it's bad, but shakastrophic is special bad.
Is it the next level of bad, or is it like levels up?
No. It's shakastrophic, then shakatrocious, and then shakatrocious royale. Yes. Which he has partaken in a few of them, but
All of which make regular appearances when we golf.
yes,
Mind you.
yes,
Yeah.
which we will tomorrow.
We will.
Who's a better golfer, you two?
I'm not sure.
Not the intellectual guy.
Those glasses don't help you on the reading the greens and whatnot, whatever it is you do out there?
I'm going to wear them tomorrow. I don't think I've ever played in glasses before.
Has that been the problem?
Possibly.
You know, can I tell you a story about Shaq on the
Please,
golf course?
that's what
First
this
of all, he
is
gets
about.
angry, which you never see. Never do you see.
Unless he's waving the finger at Gab.
Well, yes, on the rare occasion that he's doing that. The other thing is that he starts very well. And he has now the moniker in the golf course of the Arsenal of golf. In the back nine, things fall apart.
Arsenal fans, that's his term. That's not my term. At Ali Moreno, ESPN.
The other thing about Shaq on the golf course is that there are many, shall we say, landmarks that have your name. There's a tree that he hits all the time. That's Shaq's tree. And then there's a creek.
Once I hit this tree. Once.
And
Now there's a flag with your name
You
on it.
hit the tree and then hit behind the tree and hit that tree multiple times behind the tree.
But once I hit the tree 3 times. That's what I should say.
Right.
There's a creek as well. Shaq's creek.
Yeah, it's a creek.
Yeah, he hit that one
It's a creek.
many times.
You're great on the front nine. You struggle on the back nine. Can I ask the obvious question? What are you doing at the turn? Like, what's happening there?
I don't know. If I knew the answer to that.
You're not stopping in the clubhouse.
Nope.
No distractions.
This is
We just go from.
This is
I know
all
sometimes
natural.
when
From
you guys
9
play
to
on the
10.
course, there are distractions, I've heard, sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, I don't.
That's a story
have-
for extra.
No,
I know part of that.
that's for no show.
no idea.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But you know it's not for any show.
You've changed.
Yeah.
Wait, you're the one
Again.
wearing glasses.
Again,
Well, I'm an intellectual.
yes. Again,
I
you're
showed up with
attacking.
glasses and yelled about Wayne Rooney. Nobody called me an intellectual.
Well,
Well, there are other things that we call you, but
I just call it as I see it.
All right, well, we will be back tomorrow. All three of us, right?
Yeah, I'm coming back tomorrow.
Okay.
not me.
No?
Day off, everybody, for you and for me.
Shaka, please bring the scorecard tomorrow. We want to see
I'm
exactly
gonna bring
what
my glasses
transpired.
too.
Okay.
I'm wearing glasses all week.
Okay, sounds good.
Some intellectual.